It is Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. I am meeting up with some classmates of mine from my childhood Catholic school, Holy Spirit, to see Jesus Christ Superstar. So I will report back after the movie. Recently, I visited the website of a local independent theater in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio, the Drexel Theater. I've been going to this theater since I was a child, and I realized I hadn't visited the theater since the pandemic and wanted to see what was playing. By chance, it turns out there was a screening of the movie Jesus Christ Superstar. Finding out about this screening filled me with ambivalence. I have a long and complicated history with this movie. As a student at Holy Spirit Catholic School in the 80s, teachers screened this movie for me and my classmates every Easter. While my classmates loved the movie and thought it was cool to see the story of the gospel set to rock music, the movie had the opposite effect on me. I was creeped out by the bizarre psychedelic elements of the production, and watching it sent me into a deep depression for weeks at a time. My mom, Shelley, being the awesome mother that she is, saw my distress and wrote a note to the school that I could no longer watch this movie because of the negative effect it had on me. Interestingly enough, Jesus Christ Superstar has periodically resurfaced in my life, despite the fact that I have actively avoided watching the movie since I was a kid. However, the enduring popularity of the stage production has brought this show back into my life over the past couple of decades. At my first newspaper job at the Call-and-Post, Ohio's oldest and largest black newspaper in 1993, one of my first assignments was to interview Carl Anderson, the African-American actor who played Judas in the movie and starred with Ted Neely as Jesus in the 20th anniversary touring revival of the Broadway production that came to Columbus back then. While interviewing Mr. Anderson over the phone, I told him about my childhood experience with the movie, and he was gracious, even laughing in a lighthearted way, not a mocking way, that the movie could have such a strange effect on a child. He invited me to come to the cast party on opening night, and I did so. But meeting Mr. Anderson and the other cast members at the cast party, well, I thought that might cure me of my phobia about the movie. However, I was still young at the time, right out of high school, and I had the same negative reaction to seeing the story play out on stage. And then 10 years later, there was another touring revival of the Broadway show, again with Mr. Neely as Jesus, and this time with Corey Glover from the groundbreaking black rock band Living Colour playing Judas, because Mr. Anderson had taken sick with leukemia and eventually passed away. Despite the fact that I love Corey Glover and Living Colour, I still had the same negative reaction to seeing the story of Jesus Christ Superstar. So, fast forward to 2022 and finding out that Mr. Neely was going to be attending the screening of Jesus Christ Superstar at the Drexel, I thought that this might be yet another opportunity to overcome my phobia about the movie. When I posted about the movie screening on Facebook, two of my Holy Spirit classmates, Barbara Mossick-Sanderell and Mary Knox, said they would attend the screening with me. That was so cool of them to offer their support. Barb and Mary had a different reaction to the movie when we saw it as kids. They loved the movie and found it entertaining and faith-affirming, and Barb's college-age daughter, Teresa, joined us at the screening. Teresa is a fan of the movie, and it's interesting how she represents how Jesus Christ Superstar has endured in popularity over the generations. Watching this movie again as an adult and seeing it on the big screen for the first time, I understand two competing truths. The movie is an innovative, modern, avant-garde interpretation of the gospel, but it has an overall ominous, creepy vibe, and the negative reaction that I had as a child is totally understandable. Especially being a highly sensitive, creative child who is now a playwright and a filmmaker myself, my vivid imagination took over when I was a kid and made it impossible to watch this movie without absorbing its overwhelming intensity. What was cool about this screening was that it happened to be on September 20th, 2022, and that it was Ted Neely's 79th birthday. The promoter of the screening brought out a birthday cake, and the sold-out audience sang happy birthday to him. The The screening also included newly discovered behind-the-scenes footage, and it was surreal watching Ted Neely watch himself on the screen. He also sat through the screening of the movie with the audience, and it was cool to watch the movie with the lead actor. After the screening, Mary and Barb and Teresa and I stood in line where Mr. Neely graciously signed autographs, took photos, and interacted with fans. We just happened to be the last people in line. In the most respectful way that I could, I explained to Mr. Neely that I didn't appreciate the movie as a child because I found it psychedelic and disturbing, but now as an adult I can appreciate many things about it, especially the diverse casting. Jesus Christ Superstar is probably the most culturally diverse biblical movie ever made. And Barb made the observation that Jesus Christ Superstar was like the precursor to Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton, using non-traditional casting to have actors of color play historical figures. Mr. Neely could not have been more cool. He took photos with us, thanked us for coming out, and really took his time in speaking with us. He interacted with us in a warm and gentle way, as if he was one of our teachers at Holy Spirit and we were reconnecting at a reunion. It is around 5 a.m. Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. The experience of watching Jesus Christ Superstar on the big screen for the first time ever, and watching the movie for the first time since I was a child, and was terrorized by it. There's so much I have to unpack, so many things to say, like the Duran Duran song. I had to save it for the morning after. But overall, I'll just say that I think I'm glad that I confronted this fear and went to that screening, and it was so great reconnecting with my Holy Spirit classmates. More to come. More about my thoughts and unpacking this whole experience, which was far out, as they used to say in the 60s and 70s. This experience has reinforced what I already knew, that storytelling in its various forms, whether on stage, screen, or in print form as a book, is a very powerful medium, and everyone has a different response to stimuli. Everybody reacts differently to things they are exposed to. For example, The Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie of all time. There are so many powerful lessons in The Wizard of Oz about friendship and believing in yourself and triumphing over evil. But I know people who don't like The Wizard of Oz, even though it's one of the most popular movies of all time, because they were so scared as kids by the witch and the flying monkeys that they just can't watch the movie and enjoy it. There are so many aspects of life in which people have different reactions. Something might be pleasing to one person and torturous to another. Something as mundane and common as peanut butter can be delicious to one person, that would be me, but could be life-threatening to another person and send them to the hospital with a severe allergic reaction. Recently, I was watching the YouTube movie review show, Black on Black Cinema, which I highly recommend. One of the commentators, Micah, was talking about a particular movie, and he said that there were parts of the movie that worked, such as the stellar performances by the talented actors, and certain story elements, but he didn't like the movie as a whole. And that's sort of how I feel about Jesus Christ Superstar. I can appreciate the non-traditional, culturally diverse casting, the inventive concept of retelling the gospel with modern music and costumes, top-notch performances by Ted Neely, Carl Anderson, and Yvonne Elliman as Mary Magdalene, but the movie is just not my cup of tea, as the saying goes. I prefer biblical movies that are more traditional and serious and subtle in tone, such as The Greatest Story Ever Told and The Ten Commandments. Jesus Christ Superstar will never be a movie that I watch during the holidays or at Easter time to reaffirm my faith the way that, say, my friend Barb does. However, I'm glad I got to see the movie as an adult and to meet Mr. Neely. It's important to come out of your comfort zone from time to time and do things that make you stretch. It's especially important to do this as an artist and a creative person. And it's okay not to like something, but appreciate it for what it is, even if you have to appreciate it from a distance. And that is the case with me and Jesus Christ Superstar. If you like this video, please leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Here's a sneak peek at my new Patreon page and some of the content and what it will look like. Here's what happened, y'all, when I tried to check something off my bucket list and tried to learn to do a backflip. The results were not pretty. You all, there was a song by LaToya Jackson called Does It Really Matter Now? I think it was produced by Full Force that came out when I was in high school, and I always wanted to direct a music video to this song. I don't know why, and yes, I said LaToya Jackson. You all, I spent a week collecting grievances, literally writing down grievances on my phone. Everything from people driving like maniacs in traffic and making me feel unsafe, to a cashier not saying a word to me when I said good morning and thank you to her, and instead she kept her attention focused on her phone as she was checking me out. This week of collecting grievances, I collected over 500. Everything from grievances that were external, people annoying me, to being annoyed with myself at like forgetting to do some task. And here's what I learned.